Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering and Football Prizes. My name's Alec Anderson, insert incongruous song lyric there, and I'm talking to you just after Rangers drew 3 each with Heart of Midlothian at Tynecastle in what was both clubs' final league fixture of the season. The entire SPFL Premiership top 6, the top end of Scotland's top flight, completing their league programme today. Rangers drawing 3 each with Hearts and a sun-drenched Gorgie. Which means we finished the season on 85 points, 8 points behind Celtic. They won their final game today. We knew on Wednesday night that was it, that the league was over. Celtic had won the league with their victory over Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, but it was just all a bit kind of see the final analysis today. How are we actually going to end this? Well, we're 8 points behind Celtic in the end up. Out of our 38 games played in the league this season, we've won 27, drawn 4 and lost 7. And today, I think we lost, over the last couple of games, we've lost the little kind of, side note of a boast, the side letter of a boast, that we've conceded fewer goals than anybody else in the league. I think we've now conceded 2 goals more than Celtic. I think we've scored about 8 or 9 goals less than them as well. That was a kind of horrible slap in the face and kick to the low danglies today, the way that game ended, kind of summing up the entire league season. Us just out of the blue, kind of taking a lead, racing into a lead, absolutely looking the business after a kind of, a surprisingly poor start. Going against the run of play, things look bad. Oh, we're cruising. Everyone's going to be fine. Oh no, somehow we've contrived to give it away again. So I think it was quite a good way of summing up the season, summing up the league season anyway, with that final league game today. The Rangers taking the field all blue, we're wearing today, all blue, very European, and of course 2 years ago today we were in Seville for the Europa League final, and in the Saturday before that, game was now a Wednesday night, and the Saturday before that we played our final league game of the season against Hearts at Tynecastle, and 7 days later we were in the Scottish Cup final. It was against Hearts that time, but similarities today. Cole McKinnon starting on the bench that day, come on at Tynecastle and scored. He remained on the bench today, Cole McKinnon, but there he was again. Ross McCausland, I think, made his debut against Hearts, made his debut for Rangers that day, coming off the bench, I think, 2 years ago, and he was wonderful today. He was really good, Ross McCausland. Easily a man of the match performance for Rangers anyway. When Hearts can come back into the game and take a point from us, I can't really call it for the game as a whole. I can't talk for Hearts. Rangers don't get the right to claim that one of ours is man of the match when we've failed to win the match. But Ross McCausland, easily the best thing for various reasons in a Rangers shirt today. Nice wee moment for him, if nothing else. So the last 2 press conferences of Philippe Clement, post-match Dundee game on Tuesday night, talking to the mass ranks of the media, then again pre-match yesterday ahead of this game, he's really starting to kind of let rip. I think something we'd all suspected, something I'm really annoyed that Ben and Brian in last night's preview pod said this. I was saving this up. I was going to be the one to come up with. It's quite a nice wee line that we drew 0-0 with Dundee at Dens. He praised the players and what was a disastrous result. And then we've tanked Dundee 5-2 the other night, and he slaughtered the players after it. So that was, but the boys got to that before me. It's just, it's vicious. It's vicious on Gersnet. Everybody trying to get the good lines in first, and I certainly lost out in that one. But a good pod, by the way. It's not just a preview of this game. I would get on to Ben and Brian's pod from last night. It's a good debrief in the season as a whole. Something we'll be continuing tomorrow night's main pod. But it looks like the manager has just got to the point where the league has gone, so he doesn't have to be keeping the players on side or trying to maintain this edifice. He's happy with everybody to try and get the best out of him. He might have gone too soon with that. This is something we could discuss because he's got a Scottish Cup final coming up. But he seems to be slaughtering the players now. He's kind of not all out compared to what he has been since he arrived in October. It seems like he's slaughtering them because he's very uncritical of the players. He really defends them, and his whole kind of mantra is generally cloaked in positivity. Philippe Clement, but the last couple of games, I think with the league gone, he's decided just to start telling a few home truths. So it meant that he couldn't really judge what the starting 11 and what the bench meant today. Borna Barisic and Kamar Roof not quoted at all. Now, does that mean they're both being wrapped in cotton wool, double wrapped in cotton wool, ahead of the Scottish Cup final next week? These are players have made massive contributions in their time at Rangers and have also been the cause of deep frustration in their time at Rangers. Does that mean the manager's like, no, we can't take any chances with them at all today? Or is he, which seems more likely the case, just told them both to beat it? I'm quite happy to see the back of I'm done with yous. Who knows? You've got like John Leafeco on the bench, young Cole McKinnon also. I mentioned that. You had Sterling, Dujon Sterling. Does that mean he wasn't really injured the other night? He's just been kind of brought back in. We don't want to risk him ahead of the cup final. I think that seems to be the case. Or is he back to being a reserve team player? I don't think so. Leon King starting the game today. He's featured, doing quite well the last couple of games, Leon King, but you don't imagine he's going to be a mainstay under Philip Clement. It might be the last we've seen of him in a Rangers jersey. He feels as if he's getting played just to give him a wee run out in a Rangers jersey, maybe get him in a short window or whatever. Just give him a deserved first team appearance or two because he hasn't featured really under Clement. But he started at centre half today alongside Ben Davies, who we know we need to get him up back to match fitness. This is only his third start in probably about 6 months for the first team. So he's definitely starting today with a view towards the Scottish Cup final, because Balogun, still don't know what the story is with Lewin Balogun. He seems to be coming back according to the manager. We'll never know for sure though until we actually see him. And you have Connor Goldson, of course. He's famously out for the season. So, Jack Butland in goals, James Tavernier, our captain as always, starting at right back. Young Robbie Fraser at left back, another big comment. Yilmaz on the bench, the manager confirmed this yesterday. The hour Yilmaz got start, the first hour of the game on Tuesday night against Dundee, he wasn't going to be able to start him today as a result of that. But he would come on later on. So that's, again, doesn't speak well for Borna. I think Borna must be gone altogether. You'd have thought he'd be first reserve, but we're definitely bringing on young Robbie Fraser as first reserve to Yilmaz. And Robbie Fraser starting the game today. Middle of the park, you had Nico Raskin and Diomande. Obviously, John Lundstrom still serving his suspension for that sending off last Saturday. I would have Lundstrom back for the cup final. Sorry, I just think Nico Raskin offered very little today. I might be misreading the game, I don't know. You can tell me, but I feel as if Nico Raskin is just way behind in fitness, and certainly way behind in his contributions. He's been out for a while with injury. It's taken him a while to get back from it. I don't know if there's more to it than that, but I didn't really rate him at all today. On the left-hand side of that attack, we had Scott Wright starting today. Scored 2 goals against Dundee the other night. So that's Scott Wright after scoring his first league goals in 2 years, and his Hampden's coming up. He likes, scoring against Hearts at Hampden as well. So quite right that he started the game today. He was on the left-hand side of that 3-man attack, and on the right-hand side, Ross McCausland, absolutely fantastic. Todd Cantwell playing at 10, and up front, Cyril Dessers, as always, number 9, the main attacking threat. We had the first 5 minutes, so we didn't concede that early chance that we usually do in the first 50 seconds to a minute. We then seemed to kind of get into the game, started playing some really fancy football. Cantwell right at the heart of everything. The captains overlapping. I thought Ross McCausland was absolutely fantastic. Cyril Dessers getting in about it. We're linking up well, really incisive. Scott Wright, great, good on that left-hand side and coming over to the right as well. Really intricate stuff at times, and we seem to really be piling the pressure on Hearts. The idea perhaps to protect the defence by trying to overload, but Rangers under Clement are always going forward. And then around the 12th minute, you had a lovely ball from the right-hand side from the captain, whipping across absolutely a cracker of a ball right on a plate for your centre forward. Cyril Dessers in between the two centre halves, doesn't get there and starts protesting wildly to the referee, and it was a ball that's kind of tailor-made for centre forward. And talking of tailoring, it was his shirt. It was clearly getting pulled, but I think VAR has decided that the shirt pull was a kind of token gesture after the fact. Like, Dessers wasn't going to get to that ball at all. I don't know, it seemed like a good shout for a penalty, but I would say that wouldn't have. We didn't get it, and then Dessers a different kind of frustration at about the 21st minute, where someone's dilly-dallying on the ball. Not particularly in the Hearts defence, but Ross McCausland out of nowhere, totally on him, dispossesses him. Great football from Ross McCausland, great anticipation. The attitude is absolutely perfect. And he squares it, puts it on a plate for Big Cyril, and the goalie saves it. The goalie saves it. It looks like a great point blank save from a Hearts point of view, but Cyril should be burying that. It's just it's meat and drink for a striker, and your heart sinks for him. I'm actually at the point now where my heart sinks for Cyril Dessers more than it, sinks for Rangers and myself as a Rangers supporter. Yeah, he's done it again. He's done it again. And as I say, that is our season probably embodied in a player. It's going to be Cyril Dessers. Oh, what's this all about? No, this isn't working out at all. I actually can see what you're trying to do there. Well, this is getting a bit better. Let's not slag it too much. Actually, fantastic. Getting the numbers. Let's just go and finish it. Just go and finish it. Didn't he finish it? And it's just something that's dogged his game all season. The fact that he does persist, though, I think is defensively really important for Rangers. It means we've got somebody who's occupying defences. He's bulky as well. He's a physical threat to opposition defences. He keeps them occupied. He keeps their shape going. He gives us a kind of an out ball at times. He can hold it up. He does pose a kind of threat. He's persistently there. He's great at laying the ball off as well to fellow players when they're coming up to join him, up to teammates. But he's finishing. He's a striker. And he's getting the goals. He's getting numbers. Was it 22 goals now for the season? But he keeps having big marquee moments like that make you remember the misses. The misses are becoming spectacular more than you're remembering the goals. And he can score spectacular goals. I still think the most spectacular thing he's done all season is that boy played through to Rabbi Matondo against PSV Eindhoven in the first leg of that Champions League playoff game. It was absolutely crackery a ball. But yeah, it's my heart went out to him, Big Cyril, but he should put that in the back of the net. Then have a water break in the game, which means I can have a water break in my kitchen. Because I'm in my American kitchen. I was watching the game for the USA today. What about yourself? You kind of UAE, Australia, America. And that's actually the second time I've watched Rangers drawing 3 each in the league from America this season. The previous time I was actually in Dollywood. I was in a Dolly Parton hotel in Tennessee. Just, yeah, when we drew 3 each with Celtic. But here I was today actually watching, VPN stuff. It was the first time I've ever done that, really. I'm just really, the best result I got this weekend was managing to download a VPN, actually knowing how to do that. So I was joining it on Rangers TV, and when we come back, the numbers, the score and the clock was back up on the screen. The commentary was joining us for the first time. I just assumed that was how it worked all the time when you were sitting in a kitchen in Glasgow, pretending you were in America, watching through the VPN. I didn't know it was an actual fault with Rangers TV. There was no commentary and all that, so it kicks in. It's Ian Ferguson alongside Tom, commentator. And also what kicked in was Rangers' proclivity for going behind. A horrible goal for all sorts of reasons. Simple ball over the top, that'd be a theme. Rangers 2 centre-halves, not a well-known partnership, but they're struggling. Vargas of Hearts seemed to be offside. Alongside them, a certain Lawrence Shankland, known for scoring a goal or two. Vargas, the ball lands for Shankland, so Vargas maybe is taking out the equation when it comes to judging the offside, but he's really part of that. What our centre-halves have got to look out for, so I don't know. I feel as if it should have been ruled out. But anyway, Shankland gets the ball, and Hearts' first shot on target is Shankland dinking the ball over and out coming Jack Butland, and it's 1-0. Hearts have scored with their first shot on target after Rangers having a miss through Cyril Dessers. That just increases not just the test conditions when it comes to look at Dessers finishing versus Lawrence Shankland's finishing, versus any kind of half-decent strikers finishing of easy chances. It also perhaps exacerbates pressure on Rangers as a club, maybe the boards, because one of the easy reasons, one of the kind of simple diagnoses that we've all been coming up with in the past few weeks was we should have signed a striker in January. We should have signed a goal-scoring tap-in merchant in January, because it's something Dessers can't seem to do. He can't score the simple chances a lot of times. Lawrence Shankland was a screaming example. I thought Majowski of Aberdeen would have been quite good. I don't think it was ever a move that was going to happen. I don't think we had the money. I don't think Shankland had the inclination to come to Ibrox, but there it was, just screaming at you. If only we'd signed him, we'd have won the league. It doesn't work out like that. That's not how it works, because you don't just add to Dessers' goals, especially when you only play with the one striker. You're putting Shankland in place of Dessers, and we don't see the games where Shankland misses. We don't notice them. We're no Hearts supporters, so we don't see all them. We only see the games where he does score. But that's him scored against us at 3 different venues, for example, this season. So Shankland scored against us Ibrox, Hampden and Tynecastle. Rangers have won 5 out of those 6 games. We've played them twice at Hampden, twice at Ibrox, twice at Tynecastle. We've won 5 of them and drawn the other one, which is away from home, if you like, properly a Hearts home ground. So you can't be too kind of condemnatory, but it's painful. It was painful for all sorts of reasons, immediate and long term, when Lauren Shanklin put Hearts ahead. What was that, just after the half hour or something? We then have another chance. Didn't get any better for Dessers, and I think it was Ross McCausland again. This one might have been, was it offside? I might be getting confused, but I think it was 2 more chances for Rangers, both through Dessers. One's quite reasonable, he misses it. No, in fact, they're both howlers. One of them was offside, that's what it was, and it's practically under the bar, and somehow manages to get it over the bar. I think the goalie's at the equation this time. He was having a bit of a nightmare. In front of goal was Cyril Dessers. Down the tunnel at half time, Rangers a goal down, come back out second half, and I think about 52 minutes or something, Ross McCausland, no more deserving player on the pitch. The ball bounces just about 10 yards inside his own half. He takes the ball out of the air, can't quite control it properly, so it bounces high. He gets up there and lifts it over the head of the incoming Hearts defender. Shimmy Shammy takes out another Hearts incoming defender, and he gets towards the edge of the box and he strokes it in off the left-hand post with his left foot. An exquisite finish. Off he goes to the much reduced Rangers support as it is at Tynecastle these days. And absolutely fantastic for him. Great to be back in the game, and I did actually cheer. The idea that I wasn't, interested in this game, it didn't matter, or what happened, the league's byway, it's all about the cup final next week. I don't think that actually applies. There's all sorts of reasons we need to win this game today ahead of the cup final, and I was just so delighted. I actually applauded. I stood in my kitchen applauding Ross McCausland in a really kind of weird way. Great, Rangers back in the game, 1 each, and what was it? I've got it written down here. 69 minutes, that was 52 minutes, and in 69 minutes we have the goal that puts us ahead, and it's, I think, Cyril Dessers. He ends up getting the ball at some point, plays it to Cantwell, it was Tav. Tav was involved as well. He moves it into Dessers, he squares it across to Cantwell, and again he goes in off that very same, kisses that same left-hand post, and up he goes to the Rangers support. Rangers are suddenly winning 2-1. Todd Cantwell had that moment, did I mention this? He had a wee pirouette when it was 0-0. A kind of flying pirouette backflip thing that actually came off. It worked, but it was 0-0. So I still saw we need players who can be fancy, who can do things that defences can't cope with, that midfields can't cope with. We need that kind of stuff from them. But my attitude towards Todd Cantwell has just changed. I thought it was showboating before we'd actually taken the lead, which is criminal to me. But if you're doing something, this is what you want when it's 0-0. You want somebody to be able to pull off a trick that unlocks a defence. And I think it did work. But it just shows you how I understand. I don't know why people hate James Tavernier. I can see why they have their doubts about him or they criticise aspects of his game, but I don't get why there's so much hate for him. But I got a wee taste of that today because I don't know that my opinion on Todd Cantwell is in any way trustworthy. But it's my instinct is no. It's just no. But he scores that goal. He definitely made a major contribution in this game. He made a contribution to this game being entertaining. And I don't even know if that's what I want Rangers to win entertainingly, convincingly. I don't want to see an end-to-end. And I felt as if Cantwell also played a part in that. It's his attitude as well. But yeah, in it goes. At this point, Rangers, just after we go 2-1 up, we make a triple substitution. We brought on Kieran Dow. Ridvan Yilmaz comes on for Robbie Fraser. I think Dow come on for Diomande, and Silva, the much discussed Fabio Silva of Portugal, he comes on the left-hand side for Scott Wright. And we then, we keep kind of dominating as we had been in the second half. Kieran Dow fires a lovely ball up to Ross McCausland and his right-hand side berth, and he places it across. A Hearts defender, I think, should have cleared it, kind of goes across him, though, around the penalty spot. Silva spins on a Silva sixpence, whaps it in under the goalie. Absolutely fantastic. Goes up to the support and does the whole thing where he's pointing to the number. I don't know if I'm just a bitter old man, but I'm seeing him more and more. He's like a mixture of Carlos Puyol and Jerry Seinfeld. He's got a weird face, but he's pointing to the jersey like, yeah, I'm the man. You're thinking, you're really, the whole team should be in apologising to the support for losing the league kind of mode. I'm not demanding, anybody's committing Harry Carey or anything like that, but I feel as if it's a bit much. there's been noises, I don't know if it was a rumour or whatever, I saw it during the week that he'd said he doesn't want to stay at Rangers, and I did find it funny when the Rangers supporters underneath it going, well, if he doesn't want to be here, you can get what an insult, I'm thinking it's all right for us to tell players that they can F off, we could boo players down the tunnel and all that, and tell John Lundstrom whatever to, I'll drive him to Trabzonspor. It's in Turkey. So but it's when a player tells us he doesn't actually fancy it here. What? But I felt his celebration is probably just youthful. That's what the boys do. We're all saying we want players with a bit of dig, a bit of attitude, but it just seems like they cut straight from they can't be asked to they're the man. It's all the bits in between that we want. That's what you get for Ross McCausland. Proper attitude, proper focus. Maybe it's just because Ross McCausland does have the fancy hairdo, and I'm just again bitter old man. Anyway, he's got a young man's haircut. So I'm getting dived. I'm trying to do you a straight. You're owed a straight match report. There's a lot of people just want to talk about the football. This is the last league game of the season. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that after the Scottish Cup final. So I'm trying to keep it as Protestant and tidy as possible. That was it. We're 3-1 up, and then we make a couple of substitutions just straight after we go. That was about 10 minutes to go. Well, 10 minutes to the 90 left. We did that. Was it 70 minutes? We made the substitution. Sorry, we made the triple substitution on the hour mark, and then it's the 70-minute mark. We brought on centre forward, centre half. Seema come on and played through the middle instead, up front for Dessers, which is kind of glad to see Seema back. He usually plays out wide, but he is an out-and-out striker, so you can do that as well. So he comes on for a runabout, and we also get Dujon Sterling on at centre half, and Ben Davies goes off for a bit of a rest. So I don't know if that's a nod towards. I don't think Leon King's going to be starting the Scottish Cup final, but it might be Dujon Sterling and Ben Davies as well centre halves. I don't actually know. I won't know until I see him. None of us will. How bad Leon Balogun actually is. It could be mind games from the manager saying he's due to come back. So. That was the wee change again. I don't know if that's the start of the kind of that was sowing the seeds of the way we'd end this game. Too many changes, perhaps. I don't know, but we'd gone 3-1 up, and then we couldn't wait. We just basically couldn't wait to concede. This is it. 9 to since we beat Hearts 5-0 at Ibrox. This is our 11th league game since we beat Hearts 5-0 at Ibrox, and we have gone behind in 7 of those games. We've conceded the first goal in 7 of those games. We have failed to score the first goal in 8 of them. The only one of those 11 games that we kept a clean sheet was the 0-0 at Dens. It's just an absolutely disastrous result. We've gone 2 goals down in the previous 2 league games today. You also throw in the Celtic game at Ibrox, and that 11 gives us 3 games in that 11-game run I'm talking about that we've gone 2 goals behind. Philip Clement has gone 2-0 down to Celtic in all 3 Old Firm games he's been in charge of. That's the first thing to alter next week, Philip. That's a target. And today we changed up. We obviously we went a goal behind as we always do, but today we managed to do the old conceding. The 2 goals, throwing away a 2-goal lead. Towards the end. That was absolutely fantastic. Brian talking last night, I'm going to blame him. Brian Archer talking last night on the pod about how he just wanted a bit of goal fest today, and he meant Rangers winning. Obviously, went an entertaining kind of game, lots of goals, and he mentioned the 5 each draw with Hibs at Easter Road, our last game before, and this was the end of the 2017-18 season, that horrendous season, our last game before Steven Gerrard took over. He said, he wanted to win 6-5. Well, there was big hints of that today back in Edinburgh for our last league game of the season. There was certainly big hints of that today, but more with not with Rangers scoring the winner. It also was reminding me of the 2 each draw at Tynecastle. Remember, it was at the end of our first season of the Championship. We had the playoffs to look forward to, whereas Hearts had romped that Championship and they were at home for a flag day, for them, trophy lifting day, going to a bit of a celebration. So we were 2-0 up because we were on it, we were concentrating, and Hearts come back to 2 each, and it turns into an embarrassment for us and a big celebration for them. Nothing. Same thing again today. Lots of these vibes today where we can't just have a 3 each draw where we go 1-0 up, then they go 2-1 up, then we go 3-2 up, then equalise, run about the 70th minute, and then we just kind of play out the game. It has to be horrible. And from the minute we took the lead in the 80th minute, we could not wait to concede. Jack Butland had to make a brilliant save straight away, calling it Hearts. and then from that corner, Hearts end up. James Tavernier is reprising his inability to track his man, to get up close to his man. On that right-hand side, the fella gets the byline, pulls the ball back. Goes to the back post. There's absolutely nobody at the back post, including Yilmaz. Yilmaz he's at the back post, but he's nowhere near just a basic area for an attacker to be. Any defender worth his salt knows there's going to be somebody at that back post. The guy just strokes it in. He's in the middle of the goal. And that was, I don't know, when was that? 81st minute or something, 82nd minute. Just a couple of minutes after we'd gone 3-1 up. So it's straight back to 3-2. Kieran Dowell hit the other post, the post that we hadn't hit. The two goals went off the left-hand post up at the away end, and Kieran Dowell hits the other post, right-hand post, I think it was in the 92nd minute. And then, you just knew, 5 minutes injury time, you just knew it wasn't a case we were going to concede equaliser. It would have to be the last kick of the ball, and it was, and Hearts just launched it forward. I don't even remember what the finish was like. It was a launch for the goalkeeper up to the edge of the box, and a guy gets up and flicks it on, and then it gets put into the back of the net. It was an absolute car crash. It was the last kick of the 2023-2024 league season for Rangers, and it was somebody equalising against us, and I just felt it was a sick slap in the face for the Rangers support. So that was it, and there you go. That's it. A lot of people, fantastic all season, guys. I know that the season's not over, but this whole league season, so many people been following Gersnet and these post-match reaction pods. And the only complaint we get, a lot of insulting stuff. Obviously, Celtic fans more of, a lot of Rangers supporters tell me I'm talking crap. But the only one I can take on board sometimes is people saying, "Oh, you're pissing about all the time without getting to the football. I just want to hear, folk want a match report, and that's not what this is, But I can do a match report. I just choose not to, But imagine, I just feel, how horrible must it be? You see post-match reaction pod from a Rangers podcast advertised on YouTube, and you go, I'm going to go in there, and next thing the guy's talking about Alan Yentob and Heat and songs for the 1980s and things like that. What is this? What is this all about? But that's how it's a reaction, and my reaction takes on board basically my entire life, because I put my entire life into watching Rangers. But I think the least I can do is for those people who just want straightforward, give us the lineups and blah blah blah, to end the league season on that, because the Scottish Cup final one's just going to be off the chart. I would avoid that like the plague. It's going to be absolutely mental, win or lose. It's going to be totally nuts. So the least I could do was that for you. So that's you. And I would just say to regular people, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, Heavy D up in the limousine. That was, I did the Alan Yentob thing. If you're watching, Celtic fans and that watching this, once you've calmed down for the celebrations, hope you get sunstroked, by the way. I did that thing about Alan Yentob and the Imagine programme. When we get beat 2-1, when Celtic beat Rangers 2-1 at Parkhead, it's the New Year game, back just before the winter break. And I did, the whole idea is to get rid of the Celtic fans by not doing a big ramble about something. I picked Alan Yentob, and I've got a few things in mind about Alan Yentob and the Imagine programme, and I thought I'll just go off on a tangent about that, and that'll maybe get rid of folk. And folk get back going, I like the stuff about Alan Yentob. No, you didn't. You just did that to annoy me. No, but the last Sunday night, I'm sitting there having talked myself out all weekend about getting beat off Celtic at Parkhead last weekend, and looking forward to playing Celtic at Hampden in the Scottish Cup final. Looking forward, as I'm just thinking forward. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not. But I was sitting there last Sunday night, and this Imagine is on BBC 4. Just looking for somebody to watch. All right, watch. It's about Kazuo Ishiguro. And I'm watching and I'm going, okay, right, that's fine. Kazuo Ishiguro and Alan Yentob, it's the Imagine programme. And Alan Yentob sits and he's talking to him. It's 2021, it's about 3 years old. So it's obviously filmed during lockdown. So he's talking to him via Zoom. They're in different rooms, getting filmed in different rooms in different buildings. The same as like me on that podcast talking to, all Rangers supporters and Celtic supporters about Alan Yentob. And he holds up, he's talking about the Unconsoled, with his follow-up to winning the Booker Prize with Remains of the Day. He writes this with the Unconsoled, and it gets slaughtered by folk who didn't understand it. And they show a bit of that, critics steaming into it, and our critics who know what they're talking about going, Professor John Kerry, it's the business. It's absolute genius. So Yentob gets a list. He's got this list as a photocopy in a bit A4 paper of a list that Ishiguro had written down when he was planning out what he was going to do in Unconsoled, how he was going to write this book. And it's all mad stuff. It's all very esoteric and it's very, out there. And he listed on number 1, I'm going to do this. Number 2, I'm going to do this. Number 7 was extended tangential monologue. And there's Alan Yentob holding up a bit of paper and highlighting extended tangential monologue. Well, that's what I did in the pod when I was talking. I knew it was going to be Celtic fans that were watching it. And it was point number 7. And Rangers and Celtic have each won 7 of the previous 15 Old Firm Scottish Cup finals. We've got one coming next week. I know. You heard Tom commentator the day on Rangers TV, or you know your stuff. You know that there's been 15 Old Firm finals previously, but one of them, 1909, was it was abandoned. The first replay, second replay, can't remember. But the whole point was they thought it was going to be played to a finish, and it finished in a draw. And the Rangers and Celtic fans, unlike the 1980 Cup final riot, this was a united riot. This was hands across the divide. Rangers fans and Celtic fans got together, arm in arm, and fought the police, the ambulance service, the fire brigade that turned up because they'd set fire to all the the cash bits. No, you take the money at the turnstiles. They'd set fire to all the turnstiles and all that as well, because they were expecting it was going. This was the SFA just taking the piss. If this is supposed to be played to a finish, you're going to have another replay. When the referee blew full time and the players started leaving the park, they're like, no, we're not having this. So it's the happier days. It was one of the few days where Rangers fans and Celtic fans realised why they're called the Old Firm, because it's divide and conquer. The man is just taking the money off all of us, and I'm sure there'll be much the same atmosphere next week. What do you think? Was it the manager? But if you're just like the straightforward match report and stuff, this is where I start to ramble. I'm going to do the rambling now, after doing the match stuff. I've changed it for previous weeks for your benefit, so please feel free to switch off now. This is just going to be a total ramble. But yeah, I feel as if the manager, it's about water bottles. There are water bottles today, and you see the water bottle yesterday when the first question at the presser, Philip Clement, Mark Benstead, I think it was, for Sky. To me, it sounded like, Celtic have won the league. How do you feel? But yeah, I think he was actually just asking, now that the league is officially over, haven't spoken to you. Celtic playing that game on Wednesday night, haven't spoken to you since then. How's things? And Philip Clement, he was drinking, I had a water bottle with me, I don't know where it is, but he was drinking at it, the water, and it's almost like he deliberately to me, I don't think it was an accident. He was like, I'm going to have a drink of water here. And the question was getting asked, and he was drinking the water like, I'm concentrating on that, I'm ignoring you saying that Celtic have won the league. And his answer, the way he phrased it, he started doing one path, and he just checked himself to say something else. And he said, look, in the first place, basically, let's break this down. I'm going to break down my answer to how I feel about Celtic winning the league, but us not winning the league. And he kind of said, I'm first. Was it I'm in first place? Basically, what I was going to say, I'm unhappy, blah, blah, blah. Then he thought, no, in first place of the reasons I'm going to give you for us not winning the league. But he ends up saying, what he actually says is, I'm in first place. Like, Freudian? I don't know. Is he at it? I don't know. But I found it very, very interesting, that press conference yesterday, where I think he's maybe had enough of the players and decided to batter into them. But I'm thinking, is that the best thing to do? You've been trying to keep them on side. You've been keeping it worked up until like March. Keeping the players, telling them they're great. Refusing to have any criticism of the players, refusing to talk about injuries. Yesterday he's talking about how it's the first time in his career that he's just had to bring players back. The day they seem to be back from injury. Usually we give them a week after that to recover, but he's not having that. And I thought, but he's also talking about how it was just talking about problems, talking about things that had gone wrong in such a way that I thought, do you not really rate the cup final? And he ends that interview. He ends that interview yesterday. The one that you and I watch. It's on the YouTube channel, Rangers FC official YouTube channel, offshoot of Rangers TV. And he gets the last question. I think he says, I think we're coming to the end of a cycle. Basically saying there's going to be a massive clear out. Yeah, you're right. The day like the attitude. It is mentality. Alex, shut it. I'm getting rid of all these losers. The same old faces. They're gone. They're getting binned because it's been crap. He says, I think we're coming to the end of a cycle. And then somebody, it's the Rangers press officer, comes in and just says, right lads, that's it. And he's he's sorting out the embargoed stuff. We're going to have the stuff that's only going the papers will get or whatever it is. The stuff that certain media partners will be getting. So we're not going to have this on the Rangers YouTube channel. So he basically calls a halt to that section of the presser. Basically, he ends it right there. We're going to have a clear out. Basically, says Clement, right, that's it. And then Clement goes, he just realises no. And he comes in, but obviously, hopefully, that'll end in the best possible way next Saturday. It'll be coming to the end of a cycle with a cup win or something along those lines. And it's like he's realised. And I thought, have we caught you out there, Philippe? Have you caught yourself out there? Do you not actually rate? Do you not get how much winning this Scottish Cup will mean? He must understand, surely, what winning the Scottish Cup would mean for him, because it will give him a meaningful win against Celtic before the end of this season, in which he's only had 3 Old Firm games. He's drawn 1, lost 2, and he's been 2 goals down in all of them. 2-0 down in all of them. Maybe he doesn't actually get that. But I'm thinking the Belgian Cup. Belgium, a lot of countries in Europe, the continent, they had cup competitions that started maybe the early part of the century because they're kind of mimicking what goes on in Britain. They knew about the FA Cup and the Scottish Cup. And I remember it was up to almost the 1990s in England. It really was. If you're not as old as me, you'll not realise this, but in England, it was winning the FA Cup was a main thing. Liverpool had won like 4 European Cups, and it was still seen as kind of just mere compensation for the fact that a pretty poor record in the FA Cup. I think they won the FA Cup in 65 and 74, but that was like Man United though. When Man United won the FA Cup, and they did it a few times in the 80s and up to it was like they'd won the World Cup. It was unbelievable, the coverage they would get. It's a major thing in England, the FA Cup, and the Scottish Cup, not the same regard in Scotland, but up there. It's part of it's kind of British tradition, years Cup. And the continent, a lot of countries just quickly abandon cup competitions, or they have long. If you look through the list of winners, there'll be not just war years, there'll be decades that they don't bother playing their national cup competition. It only got revived in a lot of countries, or instigated in a lot of countries in continental Europe, national cup competitions, when the Cup Winners' Cup was brought in. We got to the first final in 1960, 61, so you get like late 50s, early 60s, a lot of countries start up their cup competition again, or they invent it, they have it for the first time ever, just so they can get access to European football via it. But Belgium, for example, I'll be at the 150th Scottish Cup final next week. Next Saturday, that's the 150th Scottish Cup final. Fantastic. This season's Belgian Cup final will be the 70th. Belgium's 70th National Cup final. I think Italy is the same. The Coppa Italia kind of had years it didn't happen and things like that. It's a bit of an afterthought a lot of the time. I know, big controversy during the week there, Juventus and Atalanta, but I was wondering, does Philippe Clement not actually get how important the Scottish Cup is to Rangers? Just to Scottish football in general, because we've lost the league to Celtic by 8 points. We lost the league to Celtic by 7 points last season. We lost the league to Celtic by 4 points the season before that. Season before that, we absolutely romped the league. We had it won practically by the end of February. Season before that, we were 13 points behind, but we had a game in hand when it was called early, and it was 2 Old Firm games to get played. I know that sounds like kind of token, I'm trying to kid myself on, but the way Celtic started the following season, disastrously, just fell to pieces. You don't know what happened. You don't know when that disastrous run was supposed to start for Celtic. But anyway, it was 13 points behind when it got called early because of COVID. The season before that, I think we were 9 points behind. The season before that, we finished third. The season before that, we finished third. And then the season before that, we were in the Championship. So we're kind of back to no Graham Murty kind of levels here, not Pedro Caixinha levels, but it's a bit worrying how we've let it go. I think the big thing that the league, once the league is won, especially between the top two, you can't really judge the final points tally. It's when it's won. And essentially, I think emotionally, it was probably won last weekend. That was kind of an emotional confirmation. Effectively, Celtic won the league last Saturday. But leagues are about officially win them, as Diego Simeone says. You don't deserve to win the league, you just win it or you don't. That's the whole point of them. The opposite of cup competitions. There can't be any mistakes. It's just about getting it over the lines, getting the number of points. But I think, officially Celtic won it in the second last round of fixtures, and that's quite good. That's quite good for Rangers, I think, overall. Although we've gone ahead, I think that's something that's happened with Rangers as we come back for 2012. You've just got to push yourself ahead, take a surge every now and then so you can kind of even out and get back to your level. And we've ended up, we're at a level where we're challenging, definitely challenging for the league title. But there's been seasons where we've been nowhere near it, and there's seasons where a season where we've won it, since 2012 anyway. But it's kind of worryingly behind. I would say today really confirmed that we're just not in any good shape at all since February, since March, because of injuries and what have you. But I just wonder, is the manager not getting that winning the Scottish Cup on top of us winning the League Cup, on top of us doing better eventually than Celtic in Europe again, would just really compound or save a feel-good feeling for him and for the club as a whole. I think one of the things that doesn't get noticed is we're getting to Hampden a lot. We are getting to Hampden a lot these days. If you see Rangers, League Cup final, League Cup semis and final, Scottish Cup semis and final, Rangers should be at Hampden 4 times a season. I know people will only count the number of times we win the trophies. We've only missed out in 2 games in the last 3 seasons. Since we won the league in 21, a season which we didn't reach Hampden at all, we lost the League Cup semi-final to Hibs, the week Gerrard left, and we lost last season's Scottish Cup semi-final to Celtic. All in that, we're just going back to Hampden all the time. That's the kind of quietly getting back to normal stuff that doesn't get noticed while people are shouting and screaming about trophies. I said maybe last week, 2 trophies, 2 major trophies in 11 seasons was the banner that went up in Paisley this season, just between Beale being sacked and Clement taking over. You've got a chance next week to change that to 4 trophies in 4 seasons, 4 major trophies in 4 years. That's still not good enough, but it's a massive difference. It lets you start against another kind of base camp. You've set it higher up the mountain. We're going to take off from there. But Philippe Clement won the Belgian Cup as a player 3 times. I think he played 4 finals at least for Brugge, or for Club Brugge, and he was captain. He was captain for one of them. I think they beat Standard Liège in the finals at 2007, maybe. So these will be played in the the King Baudouin Stadium, 40-odd thousand probably there, crowd-wise. So I think he's a taste of the big occasion, what have you, but I don't know maybe if he knows how important the Scottish Cup is. He should know that it's absolutely massive. It could be transformative for our summer, how the Rangers support feel, the aura in which he's regarded. And I think it's something he should go for. Right, folks, that'll do us. Tomorrow night, Sunday, 9:30, it's going to be Brian Archer hosting Granty, and unfortunately for you, myself, I've got myself on that one tomorrow night to give the season and this game a proper debrief. Please join us. It's going to be one of the massive kind of gestalt sessions. Just push out. If you've got a fainting couch, just push it out and just let us lie there, and we'll just talk, and you can nod your head, shake your head, have a greet, have a laugh, whatever. But we should get together and get this out of our system, because we've got to kind of try and get ourselves as a support back up for next week. We've got to get this out of our system. It reminds me, I've got to be honest, it's I love my Nietzsche. I'm always talking about Nietzsche in his poetry, always talking about philosophy, always talking about Nietzsche, and I do love my Nietzsche and his big bushy Graham Souness style moustache, and he had the thing where he had some strange ideas, so people didn't always see eye to eye with him. He found socialising quite difficult, but he met Lou Salome and Paul Ray. She was kind of outgoing and intellectual and arty and what have you, and so was he. Well, he's a bit more like Nietzsche, he's a bit more kind of introverted, but he was a bit a geek, basically, just kind of an intellectual way. And they formed a wee kind of menage a trois, almost. Not a good idea, because Nietzsche is riddled with the syphilis, but it was the idea was that they could break away from society and they were going to set up home together, the 3 of them, not just a kind of unconventional 3-way relationship, but it would be domestic support for them all, and they could maybe start a kind of community. They could have other people who thought the same way would eventually gravitate towards them. Nietzsche was really excited about this, because he wasn't a big hit with the ladies, he wasn't a big conversationalist, and then they just done a runner on him. They left him. The 2 of them went off together, Paul Ray and Lou Salome, and they went away, left Nietzsche all by his own, utterly devastated. The man was, and he said at that point in time, he just realised, I've got to somehow turn this shit into gold. He was either going to top himself, end himself, or he was going to use it, the pain, and do something with it. And what he did was he wrote, "Thus spake Zarathustra." And one of the quotes from that, of course, is he who climbs upon the highest mountain laughs at all tragedies. Nietzsche was big into climbing hills, and he lived in Salisbury and what have you. And he would go climbing all the time, and there's a really easy metaphor. But the idea is a struggle. We enjoyed struggle. You should struggle. The idea is that once you get to the top of the mountain, you look down, and all the struggles you've had to get there just don't really matter. It all fades into the background. You don't care about all the bad stuff that happened to you once you get up the top. Now, I think we're not at the top by winning the Scottish Cup. We need to get ourselves up to the very top of the mountain, back up and win that league, and this will all have seemed worth it. But we really need, we're not going to stop rolling down the mountain if we don't get this Scottish Cup won next week. So we have to take the horrors of what's happened to us in the league in this last few months and turn them into a slap back in the face for Celtic next week, and a boost for Rangers. It's more about us than it is about them. Today is all about them, and they should enjoy that, and we should do a kind of reversal of what they did to us in 1989. We beat them 5-1 and 4-1 at Ibrox, and we won the league at Cantor. We're heading for the treble, and then they told themselves they'd signed Maurice Johnston, and they went out and they beat us with a goal that's never been a goal in the Scottish Cup final. And I was there in the Rangers end that day with my Germany top on, thinking about Nietzsche, the old Germany, the famous Germany top that they wore the 1990 World Cup. They wore it at Euro 88 as well. But I was wearing that in the Rangers end that day, and I watched Joe Miller scoring a goal. It wasn't a shy. It was a shy to us. But so that's what we've got to do. We've got to make sure that we win the Scottish Cup next week. I'm dilly-dallying because there is something else I really meant to say to you. But I'm going to have plenty of time to do that tomorrow night if you haven't switched off already. Thanks, folks. See you tomorrow night.